There are 8 total monsters that make up the core of this deck profile. The first 3 we have Live Twin ki-sikil, and the second 3 we have Live Twin li-lia. The main thing you need to know with these 2 monsters is that either one brings out the other. So if you normal summon ki-sikil and you don't control li-lia, you can special summon li-lia from your hand or deck, and vice versa. You can do the same thing if you normal summon li-lia, you can special summon ki-sikil from your hand or deck, as long as you don't control the other one on the field.
Also guys, if you like our content, be sure to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification bell so that you know when we put out a video.
The last 2, the 8 cards in the core deck strategy, is going to be 1 copy of Live Twin ki-sikil Frost and 1 copy of Live Twin li-lia Treat. The main thing to know about these 2 is that they basically are the same card as up here by name. They can be special summoned by either Live Twin ki-sikil or Live Twin li-lia from your hand or deck. They also have effects to special summon themselves if you control one of these on the field, and they have some useful graveyard effects like Live Twin ki-sikil Frost basically can get you a draw 1, and Live Twin li-lia Treat can cause your opponent's monsters to lose attack. The main reason that these are at 1 copy each and not 2 or 3 is they can be searched using all the other spells and traps. They're special summoned by these, and being the same card, they basically give you 4 copies of Live Twin ki-sikil and 4 copies of Live Twin li-lia Treat. The last 2 monsters in the main deck are the 2 copies of Evil Twins ki-sikil and li-lia, which is the boss monster for the deck. As long as you have 2 link monsters on the field, you can tribute those to special summon this from your hand or graveyard, which makes it really good and easy to access. If you also special summon it using Evil Twin li-lia and Evil Twin ki-sikil, as long as you have a li-lia card and a ki-sikil card in your graveyard, his attack becomes 4400, which pretty much makes it a beat stick that can barrel over things like Dragoon. It also has another useful effect that when it's special summoned, if your opponent controls 3 or more cards, they must send cards to the graveyard so they control 2 cards, so it's similar to evenly matched. The only downside about this card is I find myself not using it very much. I have it at 2 copies, it just never seems to come up, so I feel like you could almost remove it from the deck or bring it down to 1, but for this deck profile, I decided to go ahead and leave it in at 2 copies. We are running 5 additional monsters in the deck. The first 3 are going to be 3 copies of Parallel Exceed. Now this is a really good card because when you link summon, you can special summon this from your hand, and when Parallel Exceed is special summoned, you can special summon an additional Parallel Exceed from your deck, and they both become level 4. The next 2 extenders are going to be 1 copy of Backup Secretary and 1 copy of Cyber's White Hat. Live Twin li-lia and Live Twin ki-sikil are Cyber's monsters that allows us to use Backup Secretary as an extender. You could easily swap Cyber's White Hat for a second copy of Backup Secretary, which might actually be advisable, but because Live Twin li-lia and Live Twin ki-sikil are both going to be summoned to your side of the field in the same turn, that gives you 2 monsters with the same type, which allows you easily to get Cyber's White Hat onto the field. Alright, that brings us to the spells and traps. All of our starter cards, we've got 3 copies of Secret Password, which allows us to add a Live Twin or Evil Twin spell or trap from our deck to our hand, in which case you're pretty much always going to use that to get Live Twin Sunny Snitch, and then Live Twin Sunny Snitch allows you basically to add a Live Twin monster from your deck to your hand. So these are your main starters. They're always going to get you Live Twin li-lia or Live Twin ki-sikil. The deck is really consistent because of that. Now, because those are Cyber's monsters, we also have 3 copies of Signet Mining as a starter, which is basically another instant way to get Live Twin li-lia or Live Twin ki-sikil from our deck to our hand. And a good segue from Signet Mining brings us basically to 2 copies of Signet Recovery and 2 copies of Signet Regression. So these are helper cards in the deck because we're going to be doing so much link summoning, and we do have quite a few Cyber's monsters. So all of those monsters and all of those spells and traps give us the core of the deck, which basically still leaves us 13 open slots for any kind of cards that we want, which basically brings us to the anti-meta stuff. And for that, you can choose any cards that you really prefer to play. All of these are exchangeable. What I'm doing is I'm running 3 copies of Ash Blossom, of course, the most generic hand trap in the game. And I also really like this as a hand trap. I'm running 3 copies of Cyphranger Gamma and the 1 Cyphranger driver that we need for that to function. We're running 2 copies of Dark Ruler No More, 1 copy of Called by the Grave, and 3 copies of Solemn Warning. Primarily I have Solemn Warning because it also negates spell or trap cards, which is really useful, especially for negating things like Red Eyes Fusion. But you can swap any of these cards out for any cards that you would like to play, especially depending on the type of deck that you're going up against. So all of that completes the main deck, which brings us basically to the extra deck. For the extra deck, in order of lowest link rating to highest, we are playing one copy of li-lia, which is a trap card negate, but easily summoned because Live Twin li-lia or Live Twin ki-sikil can all turn into li-lia, as well as backup secretary. I would mention that. We're also running one copy of Link Disciple, which is just more of a utility card. You can throw that out or swap it for anything you want. And then the mandatory cards is we absolutely must play 3 copies of Evil Twin li-lia and 3 copies of Evil Twin ki-sikil. These are the main cards that you're going to be playing with in the game, because you're going to turn both Live Twin ki-sikil and Live Twin li-lia into one of these. And just like those cards, each one of these brings out the other and then has an interesting effect. Live Twin ki-sikil allows you to do a draw 1. Live Twin li-lia allows you to destroy 1 card on the field. Next, we have 1 copy of Psyframe Lord Lambda, because we're running the Psyframe hand traps, as well as 1 copy of Psyframe Lord Omega. And because we're running Evil Twin li-lia and Evil Twin ki-sikil, when we use their effects to special summon the other from the graveyard, we can only link summon fiend monsters for the rest of the turn, which means that we're going to be pretty much running the entire Nightmare Link engine from Nightmare Phoenix all the way to Nightmare Unicorn, Nightmare Griffin, and then ultimately, as our final link monsters in the extra deck, we're going to be running 1 copy of Access Code Talker, who's not a fiend, but during our follow-up turns, because this is a link heavy deck, we'll be able to link forward to Access Code Talker. And then one of the best cards in the deck, especially this one, because it's a fiend monster, is we're running the Link 5 Underworld Goddess. So this brings us to the combo section of the video, just to show you the core deck strategy for those of you that want to know how the deck is supposed to play. So given a opening hand similar to this would be a really good one. You're pretty much always going to start with the Live Twin card of some kind for the most part, and you'll either get Secret Password or Live Twin Sunny's Snitch. The rest are just utilities at that point. So your typical opening play is you're going to want to go for Secret Password, activate effect, which is going to allow us to search a card from our deck to our hand, and we're going to go for Live Twin Sunny Snitch. That goes to the graveyard. We're going to activate Live Twin Sunny Snitch, which allows us to add a Live Twin card from our deck to our hand. And so we're going to go for one of the copy of 1 cards, so either the Frost or Treat. So we're going to go to our deck. We're going to add basically either one that we want, Live Twin ki-sikil Frost or Treat. Typically I'll add the one that we don't already have in our hand. So if I have ki-sikil in my hand, I'm going to go for li-lia, just in case my normal summon of her gets negated. Once you've resolved that, that's a continuous spell. We're going to normal summon and open with ki-sikil, which is going to allow us to search our deck and special summon Live Twin li-lia. We can also special summon that from our hand. Now we can do some extending. So because we have Sign It Mining, we could activate that and discard a card. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and activate Sign It Mining. We would basically discard, in this case, I'm going to go ahead and discard Ash Blossom. You could discard your additional ki-sikil card because we don't really need that. But I'm going to discard Ash Blossom just for the sake of this video. And we're going to basically search Backup Secretary from our deck to our hand. We'll resolve Sign It Mining. And then because we control a Cyberse monster, we can special summon Backup Secretary from our hand. So that gives us our extender. And because we control a li-lia monster, now we can special summon ki-sikil Frost from our hand as well. And so now we have a board with 4 monsters that we can use to link summon pretty much anything we want. And we still have 1 card in our hand, which is Parallel Exceed. Now the next immediate thing we're going to do is we're going to actually link away Backup Secretary for li-lia. And because we link summoned, we can activate the effect of Parallel Exceed from our hand, which allows us to special summon him to a zone that a link monster points to. In this case, we can go to this zone here. And because we special summoned him, we can activate his effect to bring out another Parallel Exceed from our deck, and both of their levels become 4. Now you got to be careful where you place all your monsters, because the link arrows and the zones that they point to is important, but we need to clear some board space. So we're going to link away our 2 Parallel Exceed monsters for Nightmare Phoenix in the zone that our li-lia points to, and Nightmare Phoenix points to this zone here that we now have empty. And then we're going to link away our Live Twin ki-sikil and our Live Twin li-lia for our copy of Evil Twin ki-sikil. Now you would go for ki-sikil if you're turn 1, because you want to basically get the draw 1 effect. If you're going turn 2, You want to go for li-lia because you get a destroy card effect. So we're going to go for ki-sikil, assuming that this is turn 1 to that zone there. And then we're going to activate her effect, which allows us to bring back li-lia. And then we're going to take li-lia and ki-sikil and link those away for evil twin li-lia. Activate li-lia's effect, which allows us now to bring back evil twin ki-sikil from our graveyard, which activates her effect because she's summoned. And then we can draw 1. And now we have an additional card in hand. So we still have 1 card in hand because of our draw 1 effect, and from here you could pretty much do whatever you want, but keep in mind, because we did activate the effects of each of these, we can only special summon fiend monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn, but that basically still leaves you the ability to special summon Nightmare Unicorn, Nightmare Griffin, and also Underworld Goddess. And in your follow-up turn, when we're no longer locked into special summoning fiend monsters, then you still have access to Access Code Talker, Cyframe Lord Lambda, and you can continue cycling through your multiple copies of Evil Twin li-lia and Evil Twin ki-sikil, and then you've still got your utility cards. So the deck is very versatile, it's very consistent, but that's basically how you play the deck, and it's just up to you to have fun.